Welcome everybody to, I think, one of my favorite parts of this meeting is the youth panel, and I'm so excited we have a fabulous panel from 5 different countries across the region. And the topic today is really new platforms, new possibilities, supporting youth living with HIV in a digital world. It's a topic I'm especially passionate about because whether we like it or not, the digital world has changed how we work, how we connect, how we advocate, how we educate ourselves and others. And I think there's no better people than the youth to actually guide us as clinicians and researchers as we move forward. So while we do the introductions, this is actually going to be a digital panel. We're going to have an interactive panel. So it's going to be a back and forth between the audience and our panelists. So I encourage you to make sure your Wi-Fi is set up on your phone because we'll have QR codes and we're going to have a live poll for every question. Because I think, and we suspect, there's a big discrepancy between what our audience might think and what our youth might think. So we're going to go back and forth with a number of questions. So please make sure you have your phones ready to look at the QR codes. And so we'll start with introductions. So again, these are all very kind people, no stress. If there's anything you're not comfortable talking about, you just pass. But if you can just say a few words about yourself, where you're from, your interests, and how you find yourself here today.
Thank you so much, Fatima. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lungile Jafta. I'm from Durban, South Africa, and I am a consultant with Penta. I'm the lead PPI and youth engagement moderator for Sub-Saharan Africa. And I'm here today representing the young people that I work with and representing the work that they do, the excellent work that they do in clinical trials. And I'm looking forward to interacting with you today.
Good afternoon. I'm Fiona Niwegusa. I'm from Rwanda. Welcome to Rwanda, everyone. Yes, so I'm so excited to be on this panel and to be present here. I am working with children, adolescents, and young people who are living with HIV here in Rwanda under the project called CATS, Community Adolescent Treatment Supporters. I think you know it is now implemented into 14 countries across Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, countries mostly. So in Rwanda, we also adapted it, and I am the program manager of that project here, where we're implementing in 12 health centers in Kigali. So here I am, I'm presenting 3,000 young people who currently we are supporting under that project. And I am sure today we will have a good time to learn more. What are the expectations of young people? And please feel free to ask us any questions as young people. We'll be ready to answer you. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Robert Linda. I'm from Uganda. Currently working with Prevention Access Campaign as the U equals U youth strategist. And my main aim towards the HIV response has been ensuring that young people are at the center of the response because we are the future. Nice to be here.
Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is C. Chantal, but you can call me Chantal Max for short. I'm from Cameroon, and I'm very proud to be here. And actually, I'm very proud of myself. Okay, so I am a member of IAS, and then I am a journalist. My journalism, I have 2 branches. So I do my journalism in Pidgin language. That is our language in Cameroon. And then I focus more on health. So I have a particular interest in HIV because I do have friends of my age who they are living with HIV, and I must say that I'm not, sometimes I don't feel happier knowing that in my country, HIV/AIDS is the highest neglected of all. And we do not have organizations, we do not have persons, we do not have foundations that are helping us to fight, especially the youths, and we are dying. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ravel Gatoto and I am from Burundi, one of the francophone country in the whole East Africa. I'm so happy to be here today, and I'm currently working as a program officer at Humure, which is a key population organization where we work to empower young people living with HIV and young key population to support our long-term sustainability through the implementation of new HIV-friendly services in rural areas and also through digital supports. I am also the country representative of the Regional United Movement, supported by the Global Network of Young People Living with HIV and through the National Network of Young People Living with HIV, where we support youth-led HIV responses toward sexual reproductive health commitments. I am also an International Aid Society young leader. Yeah, so I'm so happy to be here today, and eager to dive into the digital era for young people. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Okay, we're starting off with some technical challenges. Perfect. So we're actually going to get started with a quick series of poll questions because we really want to know who's in the room, and I think this is going to guide a lot of the responses we're going to get. So first question, very easy, who's here? You're going to associate with your age and your generation. Now we know who our Gen Zs and our millennials are, but for the rest of you, okay. So this is a nice representation. We have a good number of millennials. I'm really impressed because this really does dictate how we use technology. So there's a lot of literature on this across different domains, but in general, baby boomers are the most reluctant and the less adopters of these technologies. Gen X is sort of more willing, but not as familiar. The millennials are really digital nomads. They've grown up, they know how to use this, and Gen Z, it's part of their identity. So I'm really glad we've got a lot of millennials in here who might be more familiar with these technologies. Next question is, how do you use social media? And so the first question is, which of these platforms do you regularly use for personal use? And by regular, we mean at least logging on once or twice a week. You can choose as many as you want.
Instagram is going to...
Okay. So again, this is really helpful to guide us because it is what we thought, that there is a lot of Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And there is a proportion of you that don't use any social media regularly, so hopefully we'll be able to change that by the end of this session. Next question, which of these do you actually use for professional purposes, whether for knowledge translation, advocacy, learning, connections to peers, or to clinical colleagues?
Wow.
And there's a clear winner here already.
LinkedIn can't be competent.
So again, very important. So it does look like the majority of us are on LinkedIn for our professional use, but there is a handful of use for the other ones. And then the last question is, as a messaging tool. You know, we've moved beyond the telephone and straightforward messaging. So which of these tools do you use for connection, whether professionally or personally? We do have clear winners. So we're all adopters of WhatsApp, that's good, but the other platforms are used by a handful. Excellent. So we do have an idea of who uses what in the room. The next question is, how are these used, and how could these be used? So question to the group is, you have 5 very accomplished young people here. Where do you think that they're getting most of their information today about health and social issues? Is it TikTok, YouTube, podcasts, Instagram, Google, friends, traditional media outlets like newspapers or journals? or are they getting it from us, their healthcare providers? Wow, I'm impressed. Many of you do believe that TikTok is the way that the youth are getting their news. In full disclosure, in preparation for this panel, I set up my own TikTok account. And it is highly addictive, so I can understand its potential. Excellent. So this is a first question for you, our panelists. So we'll go in order to see, of these different platforms, which of these are you using for your information on health and social issues?
Mostly TikTok.
TikTok.
It's fun. It's unlike Google. You have to concentrate when you're on Google. On TikTok, you learn and have fun, so.
Yeah, TikTok, but mainly also YouTube a lot.
I'll go with TikTok. It comes with a lot of learning and satire.
Okay, TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, same TikTok and Instagram, because TikTok, it's more about relatability. And as young people, we love relatable content where we can identify ourselves. So I love TikTok and Instagram. Yeah.
So can I ask, is that where you're getting most of your news now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not really. It depends what's news. Because I can tell you what's news to the Gen Zs is not news to the baby boomers.
I'll take, for example, with TikTok, you play, and then you get a lot of entertainment, and then same time someone is sending across a message. I'll use myself as an example. I do run my Pidgin news program. That is my native language. So the only way I can identify myself with people from Cameroon on TikTok is when they are scrolling down their TikToks and then they come across my video and I'm speaking in Pidgin and they feel like they belong. So everyone who wants to follow me, to listen to what I'm saying, especially the Cameroonians that are not in Cameroon. So we have a way we discuss, we have a way we send across messages using our local language. So whenever you're scrolling down and then you see my video, you would want to watch, say, oh, definitely she's from Cameroon. So we entertain, we talk about fun, we laugh, and then you send 1 or 2 messages out there.
That's incredible. So if we were to tell you some news or some information, what the first place you would go to for information would be TikTok?
Yes, TikTok.
Very insightful. So we'll move on to our next question. So now it's the question of support, because the idea of this discussion is to see how we use these tools to better support youth living with HIV. And I'm sorry, the font is very small, but the question is, what do you think right now are the most important support needs for youth? Is it social connection? Is it messaging, destigmatization? Is it navigating health media, different outlets? Is it support? What do you think are the most important needs of youth today? Okay, so I think we have a clear winner. So the audience thinks that mental health issues and mental health support are the most important support needs,
Okay.
followed by social connection. So I'd love to hear each one of your thoughts. Maybe it's something that's not on this list, maybe it's something completely different, but what do you think, in your perspective, are the most important support needs today? And we can go in order. We'll start with you, Julie.
No problem. I think the audience got it right, according to me. Mental health and social connection is very important for young people living with HIV because unlike other illnesses, you can't really look at someone and say they've got mental health issues. And being in a society where they can connect and get support and be in a community where they can relate and talk about issues that are relatable, it kind of eases their mental health and also gives them support emotionally so that they know they not that they enjoy it, but they like knowing that they're not by themselves and the challenges that they're facing are not just their personal challenges, but there are other young people out there living with HIV facing similar challenges and how they've overcome them. So emotional support and, social connection and mental support is very important from my view. Thank you.
Thank you. I think all the list that is here, young people living with HIV really needs them, but mostly we have a big number of young people who don't understand more about mental health and signs, where can you get help? Is this even a problem? Should I seek support? So all those information, young people living with HIV are struggling, especially 10 and above, because that's when the disclosure is done. And they are out of their homes, mostly in boarding schools. So it's really a struggle to these young people. So I think mental health and emotional well-being, and then social connection with other young people living with HIV. Here I'm talking about young adults and all the adolescents, like 15 and above. They need connection with other young people who are living with HIV to learn more, because there comes peer-to-peer support. So that also supports them to feel comfortable and again learn more. So I think it's where we can pinpoint, but all of these are really needed. Thank you.
All right. So mental health ranges through the other factors, because you see, without supporting them through mental health, you discover that even if you give them the social connection with their fellow young people living with HIV, it won't kind of broaden their aspect of living a better life, and as well as it won't help them navigate their challenges that they make. So in this case, we have to ensure that their mental health is looked at as a key aspect to ensure that young people living with HIV excel in their lives.
Okay. We are making mention of mental health, which to me is very important. But now the question I would want to ask and answer is, how do we help them to have a good, stable mental health? That's the question, because I'll take, for example, no matter, we have a lot of adults here, we have parents, we have older persons, but we cannot deny the fact that everyone now, you have to learn how to use technology in one way or the other, at your job site, home, whatever you're doing. Because if you do not learn it, there is no way you can even know how to interact, even with your kids at home, because that's just the truth. The world has changed. So how do we help these young persons who are living with HIV? I'll always take, for example, in Africa, we have a lot of stigmatization. We have not believed that living with HIV, you mustn't have it through sex. There are so many ways. Maybe you want to have a shave. So many things can happen. We have people who are living with HIV, but they will prefer to die at home than to speak out or to ask for help. So how do we make them leave their homes comfortable enough to explain to us what they are going through? Now, this is where mental health comes in. I work with Pathway to Psychological Support. It was I and a friend who is in the UK. I told him that Africa is actually suffering because people don't want you to know that they have HIV. So how do you help somebody who doesn't want to explain what they are going through? And they wouldn't want to wake up from their bed and then you walk into an office where everybody is seeing them, and then you know that, hey, if I see you tomorrow on the road and I know that this person has HIV, that's a whole lot of stigma. So we had to do a system where we can give you counseling without seeing you, without knowing what you do. You come to our platform, you sign in, you keep your details, you tell us what you want, we book you, we schedule you, and then we give you counseling online. So you don't need to come to our office for maybe the secretary to see you, and tomorrow she sees you somewhere and she's like, that person has HIV. It gives too much stigma. And there is another app presently now in the United States. It's a friend who is actually working on it, because I told them that they have to help me with that system to be able to penetrate Africa. So it's called Blind Chat, and it's under Inspire Consulting. So with Blind Chat, you can feel comfortable to do a video, and then they give you a mental health, they give you counseling online, they follow your schedules, they make sure you take your drugs and everything without ever getting to meet you in person. So I think us seated here, if we can help Africa to have more of those systems, is going to solve this problem of stigmatization a lot. Because no matter how much we preach, Africans, we have our mentality, and we are not going to change it. There are people that they prefer to die than for you to know that they are living with HIV. And where I live in Boya. It's where we have the universities. And I have medical doctor friends who tell me every day that I had a very bad day because one little girl came, she wasn't even up to 19 years old, and she was HIV positive. And then she was as angry as saying that because it was her boyfriend that made her to have HIV, she's so angry to a point that she's deliberately willing to go out there into school and make sure that she gives it out there. That's what we are going through in Boya and in Cameroon. If we want to talk about in 100%, if you come to Boya, we have more than 50% of students who are living with HIV. And it keeps spreading and it keeps getting bad every day. So I was talking with Madam Karen, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to have help, but we need to have more organizations stationed in Africa where we can target especially these university areas, because if care is not taken, we may live, while we are researching and we are fighting, it's increasing, and we have more work to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your insights. For me, I would say that the kind of support as young people living with HIV we need is vulnerable places. Yes, we have mentioned social interactions with other young people living with HIV. We have mentioned mental health support, but are we making sure that this kind of support, our programs that we are implementing for young people living with HIV, are designed by young people living with HIV? That's the issue, because I see so many institutions, organizations, or youth-friendly centers that claim that they have social interactions programs or mental health programs for young people living with HIV, but they really give a vulnerable places for them? Is the person you are going to talk about give a sense of relatability for you to feel like you are safe? So this is the kind of support I feel like young people living with HIV we need. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate this insight, and this is part of the discussion, is with, moving forward, looking at all these new digital tools, which ones do you want to adapt? Which ones do you want us to help you adapt? Which ones do you think we should adapt? And I think that's our next question. We've lost our poll. I wonder if we could get that back. And so these are the thoughts that we had as sort of the grown-ups to say, oh, these are the digital tools we might want to use. So the question is, which digital tools? We'll go to the next question. Which of these tools would you be open to using for digital support? And I'm just going to pull it up. So these were some of the ideas that we had, but you guys will tell us if you think that these are good ideas, bad ideas. So the first one, which the audience thinks is a good idea, is the idea of using peer support through WhatsApp or Instagram. Does that sound like a good idea or something that might scare you? To use WhatsApp or Instagram to create groups for peer support.
For me, because most of young people, what I see here in Africa, especially in Rwanda, most young people love WhatsApp. And recently I saw WhatsApp have a place of channels. So there they can get information, but at the same time, the creation of WhatsApp group, it's a good way also of interacting with other young people. But again, we don't forget about TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah, I also agree. So with the youth trials boards that we run in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Uganda, and in Kenya, we have WhatsApp groups with the young people for work purposes. But they use that WhatsApp group as support platforms for themselves. And we also have our coordinators who are also on the group. And whenever they feel like they've got a question or they need some sort of support and they cannot access anyone else to assist them with, they will engage their peers on that WhatsApp. And I'm not sure why, but I think they find that WhatsApp is cheaper than the other platforms because you get like WhatsApp bundles. The other platforms don't have these bundles, so you can have WhatsApp bundles and not have other data. So that's why it's so easily accessible to them. And it's the easiest way to find them when you're looking for them as well.
My problem with WhatsApp and my problem with WhatsApp, let's not forget that it's a digital world, and I may find myself in a group and I'm expressing my status, and then what happens if my WhatsApp, maybe someone hacks into the WhatsApp account and then can go through all the conversations and get to find out that, okay, yeah, this person I've known all along has been living with HIV. Well, technology, the WhatsApp account can be hacked. We have people here, my WhatsApp account has been hacked like twice, and someone else was using my WhatsApp to chat with my friends and ask them for money. So what if I had my confidential conversations? Definitely, the person is going to know about everything I'm going through. So it has some risk.
True. Mo is in the audience, I think, but there is a program where they use a WhatsApp and you are able to lock those WhatsApp. So if you lose your phone or if someone accesses your WhatsApp, they won't be able to access that particular chat. So it's not just like a normal group where anyone can enter or access it. So all your other groups will be open, but for that particular WhatsApp, it is locked. So the privacy of the person is still protected if they lose their phone or if someone else who doesn't have permission accesses their phone.
Okay. So
Okay.
For me, I think that WhatsApp is great when it comes to sharing information and share best practices and tools. For example, in Burundi, we have been able to implement this kind of initiatives through a platform that connect all of us young people living with HIV and young key population in all our diversities. So we share best practices, and also we share what is happening in your locality. What are you doing? Which kind of new initiatives that can help us to implement that we may know? So in terms of risk mitigation, I would suggest that WhatsApp is for sharing best practices, not confidential information. When it comes to confidential information, we have articles, we have other institutions that can help us to mitigate the risk that came after. But for WhatsApp, I believe that best information sharing will be the best to do that.
Okay, just to add on that, when we look at the modes of communication, we also hear when they said, which one do you use for messaging? WhatsApp was way above. So meaning that if you send a message to me through all the platforms I have, the higher chances that the most one I'm going to respond to first is WhatsApp. So as we are trying to support our fellow young people, we should therefore build mechanisms that we feel that they associate with most, that is WhatsApp. And more so as we are trying to build information that will help them, let us build information that is quite correlating with their age perspectives. As in, you cannot expect me as a young person to sit down and watch a podcast of 1 hour simply because you sent this link. No, not really. So as we are using WhatsApp, let's try to build information that it correlates with what they understand and acknowledge within their age groups.
Thank you. So along those lines, the next most popular question answer was, would we be open as clinicians using this to connect to youth? So, sending appointment reminders or follow-up messages or adherence messages, or for you to be able to connect to your healthcare team. Would you be comfortable using, and it looks like the audience is 65% of them were comfortable using WhatsApp to connect to their clinic and their teams. Would you be comfortable connecting to your healthcare providers using WhatsApp?
Maybe I can start answering this. I'll come back to confidentiality. So using WhatsApp, not good option for clinical staff to be sent there. Because I might have a joint WhatsApp, I might have maybe someone knows my lock and will be able to check in and look everything. WhatsApp is good in socializing, but not confidential information. For that particular, like here in Rwanda, we are using some, we are working with RBC preventing under youth who are living with HIV system called WellTel. It was used during COVID time here in Rwanda, but now we're using it to share information with young people where they can respond using messages, not like any other platform. Simple message without any money to pay, if no internet, no money, just message. So there we send them information, but we had to do specific messages, like not asking, it's your clinic day, please come. No, you just remind them, remember your stuff, like something like that. So we had to change the language so that anyone who would check the message would be like, oh, they're reminding you about stuff. What is stuff? You just tell them anything you want. So other apps and systems are better for that of retention and clinical support from between healthcare provider and a young person who they are communicating. But WhatsApp, just socializing. Thank you.
So it means definitely you're coming back to what I said.
I'm coming back to you.
That is a question. So yeah, WhatsApp is a tool, but there might be other tools that you're familiar with or interested in. But if there was a secure digital platform, you would be comfortable going back and forth with your clinical team?
Yeah, I think the main issue here is security. On any platform, especially with AI. I mean, they can hack Instagram, they can hack whatever platforms that are there. I think the main thing we should be trying to do here is the platforms that are there or the platforms that are being created, we should ensure that they are secured or they have security features or use the type of language where you won't be able to know what we're talking about. In our WhatsApp groups, if we have a meeting, we don't, in fact, just the name of the WhatsApp group doesn't say what the group is about. And if we say we're meeting today, it doesn't say what the meeting is about. So like you said, you can just tell the other friends that we're having a church meeting for all UK. But it is important that the messaging that we use and the connections, the platforms that we use, the messaging is also safe for the young people in case they do lose their devices, as we can see that you can access anything anyway.
Yeah. Thank you. So then the third question was about being open to using these things, and the audience was very interested, 54%, in using these for digital content creation. So whether doing podcasts, or maybe you don't listen to podcasts, YouTubes, Instagrams, TikToks. My question to you all is there any digital content on HIV, the things that you're seeing right now on any of these platforms? Does it exist? And is it something that as youth you think would be useful and could be helpful to promoting positive messaging and connection and education?
Yeah,
so the first question, does it exist?
I think, yeah. We have Doreen. I don't know if you've ever come in contact with her podcast. So we have another lady from Botswana. Her name is Sega. Yeah. So what she does is she does podcasts just on HIV/AIDS, and then she gets health experts, and then she does interviews, and then you can follow her online. So yeah, some way it helps.
Maybe it's something I can add on. Yeah, it's true. Broadcasts are actually, young people love them. They like them because they will be asking questions in comments, and then they will be requesting for next broadcast what they need to be discussing about. And like here in Rwanda, under the network of people living with HIV, they started something of youth ambassadors. So they have a YouTube channel they started. They have different topics. They talk about prevention, HIV prevention and care and treatment. But again, we also have a young person who's called Charlene, who has a YouTube channel called Journey with Charlene. So, but the problem with podcasts, not all young people are comfortable to disclose their status. So what they do is to give information of what they know. like talking about, like saying, I have a couple of friends who live like this and this, but no disclosure. But for those who are ready to disclose, the podcast is a good way because many young people are comfortable there to learn more.
Yeah, also with podcasts, it's about relatability. The podcasts that others in this room listen to or watch are probably far different from the podcasts that the young people will enjoy watching. And with the material that is shared, for instance, we have a program called The Young Reporters. And what they do is, unfortunately, they're not here today because their program is just still in transition. They would be attending a meeting like this, and then whatever science is being discussed is happening and is take-home messages, they would take that and simplify it, and then put it on YouTube or put it on TikTok or Twitter. But they know the language, so they will make it relatable to other young people, and they will communicate the science in a much more simplified, more fun, more relatable way, unlike what scientists are used to.
Oh, that is very true, because you will see that with podcasts that exist, that an example like she gave about Doreen, you see, Doreen will try to disseminate information for you in a language that you understand as a young person. She will clearly explain what BNABs are. When you left a conference without understanding what BNABs are, and you'll be able to understand it, she will explain to you what fertility is, and you'll be able to understand. So as we are looking at podcasts, the messaging is quite important. There's this kind of messaging you're using, is it relatable and understandable to the young people you are sharing it to? That is always key.
Well, podcasts are great, but I think that we are forgetting a kind of young people. For example, we are speaking as young people, we have iPhone, but not all of them have iPhone. Sure. For example, in countries like Burundi, to use Spotify, you have to put on VPN. Right? So not all young people can have access to podcasts or be able to be part of the Instagram community. So there are some young people who still use the old strategies of looking for research, for example, Google. And an example of myself where I was diagnosed with HIV, I was an adolescent, and I was like, I didn't have podcast, Instagram, TikTok. I just type on Google on a way I could kill myself. Then I went to an article of HIV suicide prevention. Then Google saved me. So not all of us have been able to have this kind of tools to. This is luxury, right? Being able to have a podcast, to pay for monthly for Spotify, to have access to all of this. So I feel like Google also is an asset. Let's not forget young people who cannot afford all these kind of materials that we are privileged to have. Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing that perspective, because we do forget, coming from all different settings, what access we have. So the question to you all is, what is missing for content right now that you think, what would be most helpful to, for example, new youth who are diagnosed or youth who are looking to support? What are the big needs? What is missing from the digital content that currently is out there that we as a community can work on and develop with you?
Thank you. I would say HIV content in general is missing. And maybe it's because the young people that are out there, like the gentleman just said, they don't have access to the smartphones or the data or whatever equipment that they need to be sharing the messages. There could be brilliant young people out there who have the ability to, counsel and share their lived experience and guide other young people. But because they don't have a simple smartphone, which we take for granted, or they don't have data, or they live in a place that doesn't have connectivity, they could be missing out on saving a life. So the tools are missing for us to be able to share the science and to share the knowledge on HIV.
Yes, thank you. Me too, I would add, what is missing mostly, if we're talking about HIV, it's a broader topic. So what people really know outside there, and many people are putting more effort passing through to sexual productive health information, it's HIV prevention measures. So people are much more knowledgeable about HIV prevention, but not all HIV prevention. Again, you will see people asking you, the injection is HIV cure. That's what they think because of PrEP. So the misinformation is too much there. And again, the terminology. Dear doctors, your terminologies, young people, we don't understand them. So we need someone to just break and try to explain us what is viral load tests. Like, for real, why are you taking my blood? So those little terminologies, we think young people do understand, but we don't. So the terminology problem to understand what is this, what does it mean, CD4, what does it mean? Those little terminology, and again, yeah, the misinformation, which is a lot there. Even those who are doing broadcasts, some of them don't have much information, and they don't consult the professionals to come and explain more about it. And again, for care and treatment, what I can say, we miss a lot of information. We don't have much about care and treatment, only prevention, and yet not all prevention measures. Thank you.
Just like she said, information that is being put on has been majorly centralized on prevention. When you look at the scope of care and treatment, the information that is out there about care and treatment for young people, it is quite minimum. So there has to be a balance between the two to ensure that we quite share information that shares along all types of young people, HIV prevention, care and treatment.
Again, I know that seated here, we do have, a lot of us are parents. So I'll just want to plead that if you as a parent, you've never had that mother-to-child or father-to-child relationship with your child, you should start it now. Because I figured out that a lot of the young persons are actually really suffering to a point that your child could actually be living with HIV for as long as you don't even know, and then they hide somewhere around the corner and they're taking the drugs. Some don't even take the drugs and then they take you unaware. Some of them die. So a lot of parents, especially in Africa, they shy away from having sexual education discussion with their children. They always feel like they are still too young. I don't want to put ideas in their head. If you like it, whether you like it or not, they go to school. What you don't tell them, what you don't teach them, they are going to learn it in school. And the better researchers, the better medical doctors or nurses realize that the time has come for you to actually put yourself into the digital world. That's the only way we can help. Like she said, I, for one, I never used to understand some of these terminologies. When I see PrEP, and I'm like, PrEP? What's the meaning of PrEP? I could not even explain the meaning of what P stands for, what E stands for. I didn't even understand. That was my first time, but I had been living for more than 20 years. I only had to get myself into the HIV field to understand what PrEP was. Now, when I understood the meaning of PrEP, I had never seen how it looked like in person. The first day I saw it, I panicked. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is PrEP. Say, yes, you can touch it. I was scared to touch it. And I was like, no, can you explain? Like, I was totally lost. And then when they went as far as, they were like, okay, we have some organizations that we don't just give it out like that. So we need to know why we are giving you. We need to understand. When I went back to my community and I was telling them about PrEP, and everybody was like, what is PrEP? I was like, you have never heard about PrEP? No, I've never heard about PrEP. I showed them the picture, saying, no, I've never seen it before. What is it used for? And I was like, okay, do you know that actually we have medications that you could actually live? You could actually get married to somebody living with HIV. You could actually have children with them, and you will never leave. You're never going to have that HIV. And one parent was like, that's not possible. I'm not going to risk my life for anything. because people don't understand, people don't know, but I feel like if with time, we can explain these things. If my mother cannot understand and I know what PrEP is, I'm going to teach my mother. So each time you're teaching and you're giving talks during conferences, please consider the fact that it's very possible to have somebody there who still doesn't understand what PrEP is, or a little language you've used. Please just always break it down and try to make the youth to understand, because no matter how we hide from it, the youths are going to continue this generation when you're gone. When we have to continue with an empty head, it means the generation that is coming in front, we are all dead.
Thank you so much. For me, what I would like to say is what is missing is we miss content from our local context and language. I have seen, for example, in Burundi, there are so many young people living with HIV that has started to make awareness and sharing information in our local language. And then another person who started to share information in a foreign language like English, the person got more support than the one who sharing information in our local language. So I feel like we should also invest in local context, because for a person coming from a conservative culture and country, I feel like the most important thing to break the taboo and stigma behind HIV, we need to speak in our local context, not only language, is give a sense of white agenda, something like this, but we need content that are in our local languages. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Those are terrific ideas, and I really love the idea of creating local content, but also supporting youth locally, digitally, to be able to produce that content, because it's not easy and it could take some technology. So these are all great ideas. Now we're going to take it back to the audience, and we've discussed some of this before, but the next question is really the concerns, all of you to answer, is really our major concerns with using these types of digital platforms for HIV support, whether it's privacy, whether it's who's the owner, the creator behind the platform, the fear of stigma, judgment, or maybe you're just done with technology and there's just too much tech fatigue versus the lack of access. And then I'm glad to see nobody is completely closed off to it, so we haven't scared everybody off. Okay, so we do have a common consensus. I think everybody's quite afraid of the privacy, confidentiality, and I think those are major issues that need to be addressed if we're going to use this in a healthcare setting. And because of the rapid rollout of all these platforms, I don't think they have been addressed to everybody's concern. And then the trust of who's owning these technologies. So I think we all share those concerns. There is a good chunk of you that are tech fatigued with all these devices. And then there is a considerable portion that are worried about support and not having access to Wi-Fi and devices. So, these are addressable questions and concerns. So I think it's something we can do. Is there anything on this that hasn't been mentioned that worries all of you about using any of these platforms for discussing HIV-related issues and for using it for HIV support?
It's just what Gatoto said, to add more like the language or like local language also is there into to using the tech, because most of tech are in English or French, so the language barrier, it's always there, so it can be there also, as Gatoto said. Thank you.
True, Fiona. We always take it for granted when we get information because it comes in English and we understand English. But working with young people, you don't understand the difference it makes when they read something in their own local language. Then they can identify better. Then they know it's like a new thing, because now you're talking about something that's in their own language. For instance, in the clinical trials that we do, all the material that we produce, the young people produce the material, and the young people simplify the language to make sure that other young people can read and understand it. And over and above that, we simplify the language. We translate it into the local language. And unfortunately, there's still some red tape, because some ethics are not very pleased about how the material is simplified because they feel like there's certain things missing. But they should be more worried about the person on the other side, whether they understand what they're receiving. So yes, most importantly, it should be relatable, it should be in a language that they can understand, and it should be simplified, not too scientific.
Yeah, just adding to that, we have African Fact Checking. That's an organization. And then it's called Defy Hate Now. If you search online, you're going to see it. So what they do is they fight misinformation, disinformation online. So the president was getting worried because he was like, there are some villages that when they want to penetrate and they are speaking in English, the people pay less attention because they are speaking in a language that it's not theirs. So sometimes you really have to, like I'm going to South Africa, I'm going to Zulu, and then I get into the interior, I'm talking to those mothers and fathers in English. No one is going to pay attention to you. So he was like, he got to me after he watched my Pidgin news in the native language. So he was like, okay, this is what we are going to do. I'm going to send you a material in Pidgin, in English and in French. And then you're going to take your time to transcribe it into Pidgin language, that's your native language, and then you talk about it live on program, and then I'm going to weigh the engagement. When I'm speaking in English, I'm going to see how people react, and when you're speaking in Pidgin, I'm going to see the reaction. And trust me, he was amazed, because a lot of people could link up to the local language than what he was saying. So since that day, whenever they want to release any communicate any information out there, you have it in English, you have it in Pidgin, you have it in French. And it's doing so well so far. Thank you.
Also, another concern about using tech for HIV-related support is the lack of ownership. So you can just, a person can come under the comment section and comment anything like you are dirty, you are, so it can touch your mental health and it can put you down. So if maybe there was some app on how we can, maybe this kind of comment can be banned, that would be helpful because you don't have ownership for that. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. You raise a really important point because there are platforms without ownership, but then there are spaces where we could, as a community, develop guidelines and rules for sort of use, and I think those are going to be really important considerations. So we're going to go on to our next questions, which is really with what we've discussed. What do you feel, or what do you need in order to be able to start using these tools to support youth? Is it just, help with the technology to get up to date, to learn these different platforms, just to understand these different platforms, to create content? Or do you need to convince other members of the healthcare team or parents or other providers, or you're already very comfortable using this for your work? Well, this is very impressive. The majority of you are already very comfortable using a lot of these tools, so I'm glad that people are tech savvy and could appreciate a little bit more help. But overall, the first two responses, I'm very reassured to see that this group is using this technology. But I think the biggest answer that's come through is that they need help creating content that could be relevant and engaging. So the question to you, the youth, is, what do you think there's a way that you could work with us, with the doctors, and what things could we work on together? What types of content would be the most useful right now that we could put out that would help as far as HIV education and knowledge?
My profession, I'm a health journalist, so I would love to work with health personnel, be it doctors, researchers, and now how can we work? You may have a whole bulk of material. I'm just here to make your work easier. Write articles, edit the articles, and put the article out there in both writing, audio, and video. Yeah.
I'll just give an example of myself. In 2023, I got a seed grant from the IAS Youth Youth Hub. And I was developing a platform called the Tracer X. The Tracer X was aimed at empowering what we can call the young adolescent peer supporters who are put in these art clinics to support young people. You see, in my country previously, when young people miss their appointments, the peer supporters have to wait for the linkage facilitator to inform them, Joseph missed the appointment. Please follow him up. And we are like, why, of what importance is this person if I can't know instantly that Joseph has missed his or her appointment today? So we established this platform, and when we established it, we discovered that there was, I'll call it, lack of buy-in or riggedness. Like the existing health people are still not willing to take in what is new, because they were always like, how do we really trust this? How is it going to work? And it was quite a challenge rolling it out by then. But generally, these platforms, most of us are ready to come up with something new, but buy-in from stakeholders and other people becomes a challenge to most of the people who are willing to support.
Thank you, and I think you're convincing us that we need to buy in and support. So we're actually coming close to the end of the panel, but before we conclude, we wanted to do a word cloud, and we'll see if this works. On sort of a positive note, we recognize the challenges, but for you, the audience, what excites you the most about the possibility of using these digital tools to support youth with HIV? And you can use any word, low cost, innovative, new ideas, far reach, whatever might inspire you looking forward about how we could use these tools. And while the word cloud comes up, panel, we're going to just give you all one last word to what do you think this group needs to know or leave with? What is your last impression that you want to tell us about using digital technology moving forward?
I would say collaboration and open-mindedness. In the room is filled with scientists, people who are very knowledgeable, are in the forefront of breaking ground when it comes to clinical science. But you need to be open-minded enough to collaborate with the young people so that the science that comes out of this room reaches the young people that are out there. So the information that is out, that is new, that is now, it gets to the relevant people now, not 10 years later.
What I can say, if we are still on the same track, all of us in this room, to end AIDS by 2030, we need to learn more about technology and use it, and again, have more time to learn young people's language, to be able to connect with us, so that we will be able to understand what you're saying, and you'll be able to understand what we are saying. So in general, digital platforms are really needed nowadays. Please learn as we are learning also your scientific terminologies. Thank you.
From my end, as the first person said, that collaborate with us. For as you are there doing all the sciences to solve our problems, we are young people. As you are solving the current problem, you are creating another problem. But you won't know because you are kind of trying to create things that young people do not correlate and understand simply because you have not engaged them to fully understand what you have discovered. So collaborating with us to transform and translate these new ideas is key in this fight. Thank you.
So for myself, I didn't study science in school. I did arts. I didn't ever imagine or dream that someday in my life I'll be able to talk about health. But here I am today. So I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I still want to learn. I still want to meet a whole lot of people. There are so many terms that I don't understand and I want to understand. And I just want to plead with you all that you bear with us. I know that sometimes what we do, we're talking about TikTok, is boring because you're old school, you have your things that you like. But there is no way you can keep doing all the research without putting us in, because you're doing all that because of us. So you have to learn things that you know that it excites us for you to be able to get because when you send out an information and they say there is no feedback, it means you're wasting your time. So when you learn us and you teach us, we understand, then we are going to be balanced and then we're working together. Thank you.
Thank you. I would also say like collaboration and flexibility. We need the flexibility of researchers to make content with us. For example, if you are reaching out to a researcher, hey, I need to do a live Instagram live session and Twitter live space. So we need flexibility from you and to translate a scientist word into communities' languages. Yeah.
And please, one last thing. Please, when you have your conferences, please invite us. Send us invitations. If we know that the USAID is dealing with us, but possibly give us scholarships, please.
Excellent. Well, please join me in thanking this fabulous panel of young people. You guys were wonderful. And just also, I realized today is Ravel's 25th birthday that he's celebrating with us on stage, so let's all wish him a very happy birthday. Thank you. And with that, we conclude our panel. I think we're at break now, so we have a break until we reconvene. Okay. Thank you.